All right, we're here, Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, TF Sport, Trackhouse, this amazing Corvette GT3 car. So for the next 24 hours, we are going to show you some of the behind the scenes action. You know, it's more than just the race cars on the racetrack, more than just these teams in the pits. It's a whole effort. It's an amazing behind the scenes effort to make sure a 24-hour race goes off, because it's one of the most challenging things in all of motorsports. This is like really one of my favorite races. There's no other race in the world that brings this diversity of talent, drivers, all these different OEMs, quite like the 24 Hours of Daytona. And so we're going to just show you a little bit behind the scenes here. So stay tuned to the social channels for Trackhouse. We'll show you what it takes to feed everybody. We'll show you what it takes for the drivers to get ready, for these teams to get ready and execute this incredible event. The vibes here are unbelievable. We've got tens of thousands of people behind me here ready to watch this thing. This beautiful Corvette GT3 car, same aluminum chassis that's in the street car, same 5.5 liter V8 engine, but it's a real race car. So we're gonna have some fun. Stick it right here on the Trackhouse channels. Hopefully we end up in victory lane, about 100 yards that way. All right, we're about 4 hours into the race, holding pretty steady where we started, and sun's starting to go down right now, so the conditions on the track are changing a little bit. Track's getting cooler. That kind of changes how the drivers come out of the pits on cold tires and all that. But this right here in the pits is the base of operations for the whole race. We got to be ready for anything down here. So we'll take a little look around. I'll show you what we got set up here. All right, we're in pit lane in the pit box here, so 24-hour race, we got to be ready for just about anything that happens. So we've got spare car parts hanging from the ceiling here. We got bumpers, we got fenders, we got doors, just ready for anything to happen if we need to replace parts on the cars. We got brakes down here when it's time to replace the brakes on the cars. Every part and piece we can fit in the pit box. So we're just ready for anything to happen. Up here, the engineers are monitoring the strategy. We got cameras on every corner around the racetrack, timing and scoring, strategy software, communications. There's a lot to keep track of. The complexion of the race changes a lot, so we got to be ready to take advantage of any opportunity when it comes to strategy, make a quick pit stop, you know, anything like that. So over here we got all the driver stuff lined up, helmets ready for the driver on deck, timing and scoring, like I said. And then right up there, Mr. St. Dan Gisbergen's on deck. He'll be in the car next. So he's monitoring where we're racing right now and listening to comms and getting ready to get in the race car. So I raced in this race 12 or 13 times. And I remember in the middle of the night driving through barbecue smoke, and I told myself, someday I'm gonna come back to this race as a fan, and I'm gonna cook out and enjoy it. So here we are, and we're about 7 hours into the race, and we're kind of just holding steady, 9th, 10th, 11th place, about where we started. A lot of racing left to go. The night is when things start to get a little bit crazy. We got a lot of nighttime hours ahead of us in the race team, so excited about what's gonna transpire for us in the night. But in the meantime, I heard an old tale about barbecuing at the 24 Hours of Daytona, something about the sound and the vibrations and something inside this racetrack letting seasoning and marinades get into food a little bit better than it does anywhere else. So we're gonna try that out. Tonight we're gonna cook a Rolex ribeye. How about that? We got some good beef tallow, get it super hot. We've already preheated it in the oven, medium rare. See if the Rolex ribeye myth is truth. So we're gonna wait one more minute. I need it a little hotter. Is a ribeye like a race car driver? I don't know. The perfect meal is prepared with patience, with preparation, and you gotta know when the time is right to be perfect. All right, let's give this thing a shot. Let's see if this Rolex ribeye thing is true. Oh, tastes like victory. Amazing. I think it is true. I think when you cook food out here at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, something about the ambiance, something about the sound, the vibrations, just makes the food taste a little bit better. And speaking of food, we've got 240 plus drivers and a couple thousand crew members out here. It's not just 24 hours. I mean, they get here early on Saturday and they stay late on Sunday. So we're talking 36, 40 hours, and you got to feed everybody. There's amazing hospitality tents set up to feed all of the teams. Some of these teams have almost like chefs inside the pit garages that are cooking food for everybody. because everyone's got to stay fueled. It's a big part of what we do down here. And the thing is, it's almost like your living room at home with your friends and your family. It's the congregation point. Whether it's the test last weekend at the Roar or the race this week, it's the place, let's go to the tent together. Let's go get food together. Everybody comes together. You walk in there and all the teams are there, all the other mechanics, the other drivers. It's like a really cool thing they do here. And everybody feels like that's kind of the, working on the cars or on the racetrack, you're on pit lane, but everybody sits down in these hospitality tents and meals. It all just kind of comes together. The community comes together and everybody gets fed, and it's probably next to the exploits of what it takes to win the race, like the most important operation that happens here is making sure everybody's fed. Well, it's getting late. This is when the action kind of starts to ramp up a little bit, but everything changes when the sun goes down because the track gets colder, so the tire performance is different, and it all becomes a visibility game. You have to be really good at knowing what kinds of cars are behind you, judging off of the headlights. The yellow headlights are GTD, the white headlights are prototypes. They have all kinds of technology in the cars and the rear view cameras that show them closing rates and what types of cars are behind them. So you really, really have to be in tune to your surroundings. This is where the spotters make a big difference too. We brought our spotters from NASCAR, Brandon McReynolds and Josh Williams down to help us. But this is where you earn the win. These next 8 or 9 hours right here in the middle of the night. I think we're running 5th or 6th right now. A lot of racing to go. This is like the best part of the race right now. All right, we're still going strong. It's late. Now, everybody talks about this being a 24-hour race, but I mean, it's a 36 or 40-hour marathon because everybody wakes up early on Saturday morning to get ready for the start of the race, and they don't go to bed until late Sunday night when everything's packed up. So when you start getting to this time of the race, it starts to really hit you, like the fatigue and people getting tired. So a big part of what we do as race teams in these endurance races is make sure that the drivers have a place to go and place to rest and recover, because there's times where you might drive from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and then again at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You don't know where your shift's going to end up, but you got to have a place to go. So everyone's familiar with the bus lots at these races, but there's like 3 of them here because 250 drivers have to have a place to go. So there's a base of operations that every driver has, and you go and just crash out and just try to get 2 or 3 hours, get some food, put your earphones in, just try to get some rest and reset. But the single most important thing of all that, more important than how comfortable your bed is, more important than getting food or hydrating, is making sure that alarm clock works. The first couple of years that I did this race, I couldn't fall asleep because I was so scared of missing my alarm clock and missing getting back to the pits to drive the car. So as long as you got the alarm clock dialed, you can go fall asleep and dream for an hour and a half and get back up and go back to work. The good news is that if you're sleep deprived like everybody is in the middle of the night, when you get in the race car, fire that thing up and go to 160 miles an hour on the banking, that adrenaline takes care of all your fatigue. You're not tired anymore. So it's the middle of the night right now, and a couple of hours from the sun coming up, and there's some rest happening around me, but the race keeps going on, and we got a few hours left to figure out who's going to win this thing. It's just after 7 a.m., about 6.5 hours of the race left to go. The happiest people on the property right now are the photographers, because this is like the really, really special part of the race. Sun's coming up. I've had the pleasure a couple times of driving the sunrise stint for this race, where at the end of the night, you sort of feel like you're in a black hole, like you don't have any depth perception, and you're just following your headlights for 8 hours. But then there's that one lap when you come around a corner and you see just a sliver of light above the banking, and then you get to drive your whole stint where every lap gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and then all of a sudden it's Sunday, and you're bathed in the sunlight of Eastern Florida, and there's a couple hours to go. We're sitting in about 8th, 9th place right now, and I thought more would happen in the middle of the night than's happened, but we're just holding station. So the hopes are that maybe there's some attrition, maybe we can work some strategy, get some track position, and get back up there and fight for a podium. But we're just about where we started. Good news is there's two cup race distances of this race left, so a lot can happen. Welcome to Sunday. All right, we're up here in a spotter stand, best view of the house. Got about three and a half hours left. We're running in 6th place right now. This is where a lot of the magic happens up here. The spotters really taking care of the teams. All the years I've been coming and racing here, I've never been up here. There's a group of guys working really hard up here for all 24 hours spotting for these teams. So we're in a pretty good spot right now. Got a little bit of a sort of a pinhole leak in the gear oil, caused it to overheat a little bit, but they refilled it, got it under control, so the car's running strong. Now we're getting down to the money time of the race. So Scotty's going to do about another stint and a half, and then young Connor's going to get in for a triple at the end of the race, see if we can't get this thing up to the podium. But we're winding down, and it's time to go now. All right, that's it. 24 hours, Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. 9th place finish for the WeatherTech Corvette, Trackhouse by TF Sport. We were in a pretty good spot there late. You know, we got the 3rd place, and Connor had an issue getting into 1 and came into the pits, and maybe if the yellow came out, we'd have had a shot at it, but all in all, it was it was a good fight by the team, and really proud of everybody that's contributed to this. This is like a really big group effort. Chevrolet, WeatherTech, Trackhouse, TF Sport, a bunch of people had to come in together and make this thing happen, and they didn't have a lot of time to do it. So just really, it's meaningful to me personally for Trackhouse to be on the grid and be competing in this race, because it's just so special to me. So tickled to death. I think this is the beginning of great history for this company in this awesome race. It's amazing to come back as a fan after having driven in it for so many years, right on the edge of my seat, being able to follow the race, like knowing what the drivers are going through, knowing what they're feeling, seeing all the little things, thinking about like my experience in this race and everything that they're going through. So such a special event, just really humbled that we're able to participate in it. So that was awesome. Rolex 24 Hours Daytona done. Back here in 2 weeks for that other 500-mile race. Oh yeah, Daytona 500. We'll get that one.